and live on YouTube. Today, I want to walk a bit through, and honestly, it hasn't been much of an action-packed week since last Tuesday, but I do want to summarize a bit on what has happened. Prices have been super stagnant, super stable. I can see some kind of frustration with some people because obviously they really wanted to crack, I don't know, 33,000, 35,000, 40,000 in Bitcoin. And there's a little bit of frustration on some things. So I'll definitely I'll go into a few things and just discuss a couple of points there. This will be a bit of a shorter part, though, when it comes to the industry update, just because, it's been a relatively quiet 7 days. The main thing then today, so it's going to be maybe 5 to 7 minutes, a bit of a summary, and then the main part is going to talk about the new Bake App, thoughts that went into it, things to consider, and I want to put this into the bigger picture of the Cake Group. I want to give you a bit of a sneak peek into the upcoming second half of the year. What are things that we are considering in the group, in the company, and obviously tie this a bit in over the past, I would say, almost year, but let's say at least 6 months since we've had all these ideas. And actually, the new Bake App has been in the works, I think, for 9 months now. The feedback has been absolutely fantastic for so many of you. It's been live on the Android store since yesterday. We're still waiting for the final confirmation on Apple. Those of you that are Elite 2 customers, we're going to look into, maybe we're also going to give it to Elite 1s, but definitely the Elite 2s. You have already received special beta access or early version access. So check out in your emails how this works. There were a lot of questions. Is this safe? Does this work? It's the exact same app. It's the exact same version. It's just you are being given special access. So it's the exact same final version. It's the same app version that I'm on. So me personally, I have the exact same app version that you as Elite 2s have on the new Bake App. So yeah, but these are things that I just want to then obviously walk a bit through and give you a bit of some ideas and insights on what to expect and what are things that we're going to be focusing on. A couple of things first when it comes to the markets. Last week, a couple of things that were expected. We did see the entire digital currency group. Now that thing really starts to escalate way faster than I think we ever had expected. Now, this is something we went into Q3 and were expecting. We discussed this actually on last week's show. This is something to expect for this quarter. Now, this escalated way faster. Gemini is really putting the knife to Barry Silbert's throat. He's going all in on this and says, hey, I'm suing you. You have been actually defrauding us. He really kind of is very specific about this, gives a lot of examples, and that's going to be an interesting one. Now, a couple of points here. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trusts trades at a relatively low discount right now. I think the last time we had such a discount is like 1.5 years ago. So it's quite optimistic here. A lot of the GBTC investors hope something happens with a conversion to an ETF, or that maybe there's going to be a buyout at Grayscale. So this is obviously very interesting, and at the end, that's really going to tie in to the entire kind of rest of the entire kind of concept. So that's going to be something to really watch out for, and that's an interesting one. The other part, last week, we seen job reports coming out. Fewer people got hired in the US than expected, but we're talking about minor differences. And tomorrow, we're going to have US inflation numbers. On Thursday, we're going to have the producer inflation numbers. And why is all this interesting? Well, because at the end of July, we have our first Fed meeting of the quarter. There's always 2 Fed meetings every quarter. And so we're going to have every 45 days. So every 90 days. So every quarter. And we're going to have one end of July and then in mid-September as well. So that's going to be a relevant one, relevant information, simply because we're going to see if there's going to be another rate hike. Now, I'm expecting this. Also, the market really prices all this in. Yes, there's always some volatility around these events, but at the end, it's probably going to be not much of a big thing. It's going to be a nothing burger. So, and aside of that, we see the entire Binance drama. I don't know how much you have been following this. Now we have seen Binance US prices really started to deviate there by almost 10%. Now today there was news over the last 24 hours that they don't have Bitcoin Cash backed in Binance US. Obviously, people start freaking out about this. Not 100% sure how big of a deal this is, but we all, I think, sit here and expect something there, right? Whether this is totally dramatic or totally not dramatic, it's difficult, I think, to judge. But I think we all sit here and I think at the moment, most of us are probably prepared for pretty much the worst case there. I don't know, Department of Justice, uh, yeah, kind of, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, it's got to be definitely something to watch out for. The counter to that is the positivity we see from TradFi. And that's going to be a very interesting one because who would have thought a year ago that TradFi is going to be what's going to get the crypto markets up? And we're seeing this left and right. We see Larry Fink coming out, being very bullish for Bitcoin. We obviously, Michael Saylor coming out, very bullish. There's a lot of research papers that are predicting Bitcoin will go over $100,000 next year. Very, very, very bullish. Obviously, everything Bitcoin spot ETF, Bitcoin halving, all these things can really create a very positive narrative for Bitcoin. And I'd also mentioned this on Twitter, especially also this AI narrative. Arthur Hayes came out with that. That's really putting a bit of a different spin on Bitcoin for myself. We've always had Bitcoin in our company's treasury. It was the biggest position in there. And for me now, I'm starting to dollar cost average also into Bitcoin. So far, it's been mostly DeFi chain and Ethereum, and I'm going to be adding Bitcoin to the mix. So I'll go with all three on this. Very, very bullish, I think, right now. And look, key part I want to add here. I have no clue on where the prices are going to go over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. This is why I'm not saying go all in. That's why I'm saying I'm dollar cost averaging. You see this. I mean, at the end of, I think, October, the entire Mt. Gox Bitcoins are going to be released. That's $4 billion in theory. Now, I'm not sure I don't know how much of that is going to hit the market. Is any of that going to hit the market? Is this going to get delayed? All this can always have some kind of short-term fluctuations. So just kind of keep this in mind before you now YOLO in and say, hey, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to take a loan. It could easily be that Bitcoin's going to dip to 25,000 again and Ethereum's going to go to 1,500 again and stuff like that. This is not why I'm dollar cost averaging. I'm dollar cost averaging because I think in the long run, these are fantastic prices. And I think that's just a very strong setup over the next years from here. So I think that's just a very interesting kind of position that I would love to really highlight here. And other than that, there is really not much in the markets right now that we are seeing. And so I do love to kind of reflect always a bit. How are the emotions of people that I see? Are people a bit more tense? Are people very relaxed? Are people optimistic? Are people pessimistic? It's quite interesting to see a bit how actually there's a little bit of some pessimism right now for actually no reason because nothing really fundamentally changed. So there should be the same kind of optimism that maybe 2 weeks ago. But especially when you look at the emotional parameters, also when you look at the FOMO indexes and so on, people are just a bit more cautious. And I actually don't agree with that. I think right now it's the same kind of feeling as 2 weeks ago. So very interesting. But again, very quiet week. Prices have been super flat, plus minus pretty much nothing. It's been bit up, bit down. But at the end, we've had much of a sidewards movement. So that's kind of a bit of my start into this update. If that's all what you're here for, then at least thank you so much for staying with us for 10 minutes. But what I want to talk a bit about going forward is, well, what is the cake group going to do around all this? What can you expect on the retail side, Bake? What can you expect on the enterprise side with Levain? What can you expect on the R&D side with Birthday Research? What can you expect from our VC fund with Whisk? What are things that we're looking into, watching out for? What are all these kind of ideas? And I hope that that is of interest to you as well. Now, first one, let's start on the retail side. I know this is why many of you are here. This is what most of you are using. If you are not using Bake yet, then hey, this is really your kind of chance. Go to bake.io, sign up, get an account for free. Either start dollar cost averaging there, buy your crypto there, or deposit crypto. And then if you want, get cash flow on your crypto on top. We have cash flow for basically all the coins. What makes us super unique is this full transparency, and we're going to stick with that. And that's also going forward. You're going to be seeing a lot of new concepts being added. Now, I understand right now there was, with yesterday, a complete revamp of the app. It's so far only Android users. Apple users are going to come next. Apple users simply depend a bit on Apple. Apple has been relatively slow in approving all these apps. Maybe I've seen this in the entire kind of crypto space. For some weird reason, they are taking a bit of a issue with any of the crypto apps right now. I don't really understand, and they haven't given us a reason on why. It just feels that they're delaying this a bit. Now, For our Elite 2 customers, you have already gotten access to our new iOS app. You, just like myself, have basically it's the same kind of app, but we call it the beta version, and you can get access to that. So simply check out your email. You log in with your regular details in this. People were a bit worried, is this safe, and so on. It's the exact same app. So it's completely the same thing. It's also the thing that I am using. So when you open the app, you're gonna see a totally new experience. And I know I saw the feedback. I think 95% love it. There's a lot of people, obviously, who really have engineering and design experience, and you know how much effort went into building this app. It took us about 9 months. It is from the ground up a completely new experience. Also, if you look on the YouTube channel, yesterday a video came out that was about 5 minutes where myself and then YC and Mike discussed all the kind of things from a front end and user experience kind of idea, and we had a bit of a back end kind of insight into, well, could what would you have to like look from the kind of engineering side. And Peter, who is working on the revamp on that, or was working on the revamp of that, discussed that. And so I think it's a fundamentally different experience. And that is important. And the reason why it's a fundamentally different experience is because what you're going to be seeing going forward is a couple of concepts. The first one is you're going to be seeing actually things being added to the app that are not necessarily crypto, but are actually other investment possibilities. And some of these investment possibilities actually have the possibility of getting cash flow on top, and others don't. But it could be very interesting to get exposure to those. And you will see this is going to be actually quite unique because, at least to my knowledge, most other platforms don't actually have this. They have never kind of built this through this way. And the only reason this works is because we have always done this CDeFi concept, meaning we are a centralized platform. We are doing KYC, we're doing all these things. But on the back end, we are using blockchain for basically everything. So we don't have a swap function ourselves. We use DEXs. Every service we're using, we are providing completely transparent, and we want to make this user experience super simple, and at the same time we want to give you very attractive returns. Now, in the future going forward, some of those returns will be cash flow, and some of those returns will simply be capital gains, because whatever we're listing there doesn't actually have cash flow, or the cash flow compounds and is automatically priced into the asset. So that's going to be a very interesting approach. So you will, I think, see a very different experience probably over the next couple of weeks. And for that also, we had to fundamentally change the app so that your entire experience in this app actually works this way. So that's really, really important. The second thing is going to be that we want to be way more open in the number of projects that we're listing. And we actually, because, I mean, that works for us because we are CDeFi. We're not CeFi, we're CDeFi. And with that, we then want to help you as a customer finding the right projects, finding the right investments for you. Now, the key thing is we cannot make this decision for you, but with decision trees, with algos, with group ideas and group feedback, we want to help you find the right investments for you based on the volatility that you're happy to take, based on the knowledge that you have, obviously also based on some of the regions. Some of the countries in the world won't have access to certain things and will have access to other things. And again, with that, there's going to be things that are mainly focused on long-term capital appreciation, and then there will be investments that are really about twice a week cash flow. So it depends. Some investments will have that, some investments won't. A couple of things we're going to be doing. We're going to be adding more and more coins. You will actually see a very aggressive kind of approach to this. We've done a lot of back-end fundamental work on this. And then also we're going to actually have not only us listing coins, but we're also going to have the possibility of projects actually listing. And that's going to be a very interesting approach, how we're going to do this. No, I'm not aware of any other platform that's actually able to do it this way. We are, because of that approach. And so as long as your project or the project fits certain rules or fits certain criteria, it could actually be a less than 24-hour approach until a project is listed. So that's going to be very, very interesting. And you will see it's going to be a fundamentally different approach how most crypto projects actually have approached this. We internally call this a very visionary term that I'm not gonna reveal here because we keep this internal, but we have a very, very clear kind of approach, a very visionary approach on what we want to do there. And the team is super, super excited about this. It's the first time I speak about this publicly. We internally have been discussing this for quite some while now. And so, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting approach kind of going forward. The next couple of things that you will be seeing, obviously, we will be adding more and more coins. A lot of these coins that we are adding are staking coins, cash flow coins, and then you're suddenly going to see also non-staking, non-traditional crypto coins, but suddenly other approaches that maybe you don't necessarily get cash flow on, but it may be very interesting for you to invest into simply for diversification or simply because, hey, you want to, and that has always been also a key part. We wanna have Bake as this one-stop app for you that you can come to and basically get access to all kinds of financial investments. This has always been a key kind of idea for us. We want to empower you to take control of your financial destiny, and that is going to mean not only investing in crypto, but investing in so many other things as well. So that's going to be a key thing. The other part, obviously, we are going to be adding, we're going to put a strong focus on dollar cost averaging. We know that this is a very fundamental approach to taking control of your financial destiny. Why? Because it's just been very clearly shown that people who dollar cost average, and we're going to start with a monthly dollar cost averaging, and over time we're probably going to allow a very high frequency, maybe even a daily in a later stage. But people who dollar cost average seem to be doing way better with building wealth than people who try to time the market. And it's just been shown very, very difficult to do so. Now, we have always kind of held back a bit there simply because we wanted to have other players also be able to do this. Now, there was an announcement, I think, over the last week, and this also came a complete surprise to me or to us. We haven't had any other info up front that DFX, Swiss company, stopped dollar cost averaging. And for us, this was also a surprise. So on the one hand, this meant for us, we're going to really step up and speed the dollar cost averaging up. At the same time, we have to stop processing withdrawals there because this may get very tricky for our customers. So for those of you that have been always withdrawing to DFX, that's not possible anymore because simply there's way too much risk on this. At the same time, because we don't know how long they're actually going to be operating or how long they're going to actually keep up their service. So we stop processing withdrawals to these addresses. Also, we will have to, I know that some of you have been trying to bypass that. This will not be possible relatively soon because engineering has to actually do quite some tech checks. Plus, with us becoming stricter and stricter from the regulation standpoint, DFX is not compliant to the travel rule, and that's important. We have to be compliant to the travel rule. So that's just not going to be possible anymore. So that's also a key announcement. But at the same time, there shouldn't be any kind of downside for you because all the services should then be offered on the Bake side natively as well. A key thing on the dollar cost averaging is going to be that we want to, as well as possible, give this to you with no commissions, even when you pay with credit card. And that's going to be completely unique. And I want to explain to you how that's going to work. We're going to roll this out step by step for either different coins or different baskets. So this is also going to be a very key kind of approach. Many people, I don't know if you have noticed this, this is, we have an internal, like we have very clear kind of descriptive names for those. And I don't want to reveal this here because I know that there's also other people listening and I don't want to reveal too much in how I believe finance should be handled going forward because I see that at the moment there's very little innovation in the crypto space. And I think we're actually doing a very, very good job, at least behind the scenes, and you're soon going to see a lot of those things. But for example, if you go into a pharmacy, it's very unlikely today that you go in there and you tell the pharmacist exactly what you need. This may happen if you're an expert in the field or if you have taken certain things before. But most of the time, you actually go in there and you tell them, hey, I have a sore throat, or I don't know, I have a runny eye, or I don't know, my elbow hurts or something, right? And then the pharmacist tells you, based on what you're telling that person, how old are you, and so on, kind of tells you a couple of options on what you could be taking. And then, sure, you're the person who makes that decision. Sure, if it's a prescription drug, it's a different story. But if it's non-prescription, then you're the one that says, okay, give me that, and so on. And that should be an approach that's also very important from investing. And investing so far is exactly the other way. It's basically you always have to know everything, and that's not very easy. Many times it's easier for you to kind of think through scenarios and also have certain trading ideas based on scenarios. And there can be a lot of interesting trading ideas, right? So, for example, one of the trading ideas around the Mount Gox one, right? Could be that you think, you know what, I don't know what the Bitcoin price is going to do around Mount Gox. However, it may very likely be that, for example, a lot of the people on Mount Gox are the Bitcoin hardcore maxis, and they're not going to sell the BTC, but they may be selling BCH. So what there could be a trading idea, right? And that could be one of those scenarios where you say, you know what, I'm gonna be long BTC and short BCH. So you're not really betting on the Bitcoin price, but around this time, you're betting on that ratio. And so that is just an interesting kind of approach to all this. Now, when I explain this to you, right, it makes a lot of sense to you. But if I would have told you up front and said, hey, why don't you go long BTC and short BCH? You're like, I don't even know what this means. And second of all, I don't even know how to do this, right? And so these are these scenarios that just make a lot of sense if this is kind of laid out very clearly and kind of walks you through. And then you have more of a basket approach, less of a individual kind of coin approach. And the key thing for us always is, okay, how can we offer these things to you where you have either very low commissions or no commissions? So you can get this, you pay $100, you get $100. And how can we do this so this also works out for us? And obviously, there are various ways to do this. On the one hand, for example, that you lock in, and we call this now with a fixed term staking. So we removed the term freezer in the app because freezer was so confusing for so many people. So now we have either flexible or fixed term. And so if you come in and say, look, I'm going to dollar cost average and I have no plans on removing the funds for the next 3 months anyways, then for us, this kind of gives us a predictable cash flow over those 3 months. And so we can then offset certain fees from the rewards that we are also making if you're putting your funds to work. And so these are kind of ideas how you can get dollar cost averaging, for example, free of charge. This is what, to my knowledge, no one out there in the ecosystem uses. And so I think this is going to be very, very powerful. I think these kind of ideas, the dollar cost averaging, the kind of strategy, scenarios approach, all this is going to be extremely, extremely exciting. Also, the way we diversify the assets and allow you to invest into that. And I mean, and that's our mission here. It's leveling the investment playing field, empowering you to take control of your financial destiny. I think if we execute well with that big mission and vision that we have, I think we can really go there. And I don't know, I see a lot of companies struggling in the crypto space right now. Trust me, I see this not only because I know their numbers, but way more because I see which companies are losing team members and who is applying at Cake. And we are one of the few companies out there still who are still hiring. So I can see exactly trends and which companies are clearly losing people. And I don't know, I just don't think it's a good sign if, I don't know, there's like from 3 different companies and suddenly you have like 75 to 100 new applicants from these companies. And these are not entry levels. These are people who have been with these companies for, I don't know, 2-3 years. Yeah, then you know exactly, well, it may not, these companies may not be doing so well. And we see the exact opposite, right? We see people who stay with us, who want to stay with us. We are still hiring and we have had very good budgeting and very good planning. And so I think, yeah, and the big team is doing, like, is really pushing it, and both on product and on marketing. And you're going to see some very exciting things there. There's going to be marketing promotions around this. We're going to have referral promotions around this. We're going to have bonuses around this. So you are definitely going to love this as our customer. You're going to love this if you're an influencer or if you're someone who really is focusing on the referral side of things. If you're someone who wants to just get cash flow on your existing crypto, you're going to love this. If you want to diversify, you're going to love this. And if you're someone who says, hey, I want a dollar cost average with where I get the most amount of crypto for my dollars, then you're going to want to do this. So I think that's going to be very interesting and it's going to have a very strong focus on us here. So I think that's the main thing on the bake side. I don't want to give too much else away. I think a lot of these things you're going to see. I think at the moment for you, if you're on the iOS app and you want to get access right away, then sign up for Elite 2. I don't understand why you're not doing this anyways, because actually you are paying $1,000 and over the next year, you're getting $1,200 back in crypto if you put your crypto to work. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer. Even myself, look, I myself am an elite on the platform. And look, I get no discount on this. I paid $1,000 and I'm actually benefiting from this myself. So I'm paying myself actually $200 extra every year. So I really don't understand why you're not doing this, but maybe it's because you don't fully understand it. But the Elite 2s make so much sense. They are getting the app right now. And then yeah, we're going to go from there. And hopefully, as soon as Apple approves it for everyone, then step by step we can roll it out to everyone else. I think that's the main thing right now. You're going to be seeing more and more coins. You're going to see the dollar cost averaging. The team is working fiercely on this. And then obviously a key part is going to be with meta chain layer on DeFi chain going live. And we are expecting this hard fork to happen end of July, beginning of August. And when this happens, then I know that there's going to be a lot of activity on there. And obviously for us, it's also going to be a key focus to help that ecosystem. And there's going to be a lot of projects who are building on a meta chain layer. We want to obviously list these projects on Bake, help out there, help driving attention, help driving liquidity. I think there's going to be a strong drive, and this is going to be quite exciting in all of that. I mean, obviously, part of our birthday research team is contributing to the open source there. Another team, there's actually two completely different teams in the birthday research team, is developing products that are there to facilitate this. Obviously, the Light Wallet or Ocean. This is all built by the birthday research team, but it's very different than the open source infrastructure. On the open source side, for example, there's also the team has been contributing to Ethereum. Right now, they're also contributing there to Bitcoin with the Sado protocol. So which is really focused on ordinals and really helping with Bitcoin. And then let's see, because the key thing then, I think, and the birthday research team really looked into this, how can DeFi chain connect really well into Bitcoin? Because at the end, that's going to be the powerful thing, either connecting Bitcoin with Ethereum, or if that's somehow possible, becoming a layer 2 on Bitcoin. No one really managed to do that so far. I think DeFi chain would have a pole position to do that with the UTXO layer at the base and the EVM layer on top. So I think that's going to be something that's very interesting. And obviously on the big side, we want to help as much as possible. Now, the experience going forward between what people can do on DeFi chain is going to be very different than on Bake, for the very simple reason that so far on Bake, you could use a lot of the native things on DeFi chain. But then going forward, a lot of the actual applications running on the meta chain layer, and I just want to be very clear, I think sometimes that term meta chain is sometimes a bit misleading, but I think it's fine. But at the end, it's an application layer, if you want to call it, right? So the base layer is the consensus layer, and then you have, and that's UTXO, that's basically a Bitcoin fork, and then you have the Ethereum fork on top, and that's kind of the application layer. It's EVM compatible. And on that layer, you have all these applications with so many different things. And these are all applications that very unlikely we're going to be integrating on Bake. But we are very likely going to be integrating a lot of the coins on there, right? So it's going to be very easy for you to trade in and out or participate from capital gains there. But it's going to be a bit harder if you actually want to get cash flow on some of those things, because some of those things are going to be very, very complicated. And I have seen some of the ideas there. And it's not complicated to participate, but it's complicated to integrate that. And that's something where you will see that kind of, and I know that many people are still sometimes confused and think Bake and DeFi chain is the same thing, but these are actually two completely different things. Separate teams, separate kind of interests, separate kind of design decisions. But going forward, you will actually have a lot of that, where yes, you will have access to certain coins on Bake, but you will have way more access on DeFi chain if you actually want to put those coins to work, because sometimes that's very tricky to do on Bake, and it's actually not possible sometimes to abstract some of the things away. So that's just something that you can also then expect. Probably not from day one, so maybe not from the beginning of August, but then really down the line, this is definitely a basket of coins we want to be adding, aside of 2 or 3 other baskets of coins that we are very excited about. So I think that's going to be a key part. And at the end, that kind of covers really well on what we do on the Bake side. On our R&D arm side with Birthday Research, they just did a meetup actually this week, or last week, an ordinals meetup. It was quite exciting to see completely different audience than our retail side on Bake. I didn't even expect that. And many people, when I talk to them, I mean, they're not Bake customers. They're not even interested in that. They're very interested on the ordinal side, and I thought that was very, very interesting to kind of see. And obviously, with us on the Birthday Research team, in really developing the open source Sado protocol for Bitcoin, that's quite exciting. Tying this in with Whisk, our VC fund, we're mainly focused on 3 areas where we are investing in right now. We are investing in ordinals infrastructure and ordinals projects. We already invested in one Ortzar, we mentioned that. There's probably going to be a second investment that's more a wallet investment. So let's see what's happening there. And we're always looking out for other ordinals projects. We're very excited about this extra utility on top of Bitcoin. That is really, really exciting for us. The other part is we are looking to invest into projects that we can really use on Bake, and not necessarily coins, but really more kind of infrastructure or ideas that we need at Bake. And this is rarely coming inbound. So a lot of this is actually outbound. It's very difficult to sometimes also get access to those things. But these are really things that we are aggressively looking into, algo decision making and so on, because that's going to be a key one. And then the third group is going to be projects that are building on MetaChain. Now, a lot of them are coming inbound. I think we have about 10 projects right now that are in touch with us who are looking into raising funds. Now, the key thing there is we have to be just really, really careful that we align all this. So I know that some of you are in touch with us, and sometimes it takes a little bit until you get a reply. It's really not because we're ghosting you. It's just really because we need to align certain things. And also we don't want to invest into competing projects, for example. This doesn't make any sense. So, and also we want to understand timelines, how far advanced are our projects. Some projects are really in idea stage, and idea stage is just very difficult for us to invest, especially on the blockchain side when testnet is live. It's just so much easier to invest from the VC fund if we are investing into projects that are, for example, already live on testnet. So yeah. And then last but not least, we have the entire enterprise arm. The enterprise arm is live with customers. We have paying customers. So now this is really turning into a SaaS arm. The idea behind it really is custodial solutions. It's EVM, UTXO based blockchains. And I mean, that covers kind of 99% of the market basically. And the key function there, and this is really the USP, is provable security. No one else in the space. And I know you're going to talk about Fireblocks, you think about BitGo, you think about all these. None of them actually have this provable. What do I mean with this? Well, you always have to trust. For example, with MPC, you have to trust MPC. You cannot import your own keys. There's never this provable security that no one else has access to that. The same on BitGo. So these are just key things that you cannot do there. And on Levain, you can even import your own private keys, and you can actually go this way. So it is impossible for Levain to actually ever have your keys. And why is this so relevant? Well, we actually put out an entire white paper on this. If a crackdown really occurs, then one of the easiest places to crack down on are these custodial providers. And if these custodial providers don't have bulletproof security, or they have somehow access to private keys, or they can censor, doesn't even need to have access, it just means censoring, you are screwed, because then it doesn't help you if you have somehow the infrastructure, but you cannot actually get access to your funds. And that's going to be a key thing. Provable security. It's the same thing as on Bake. We always focus on this transparency part. And it's going to be the exact same thing there. In 2019, we started with transparency on the retail side. No one cared about the transparency. Everyone was just caring about making returns. And then 2022 came, and suddenly everyone cared about transparency. And I think it's going to be the exact same thing on the custodial side. So if you are already having a custody solution, or you're looking into a custodial solution, take a look. Go to levain.tech, take a look, get a free demo, take a look into this. And we're also going to look at different kind of price structuring. We want to have solutions for basically builders, where there's maybe a one-person show and you're just starting out, and all the way up to really, really large solutions. So from 2, and that's going to be a very key part. And obviously, we are changing all the infrastructure step by step. This infrastructure sometimes is very sticky, actually. So we also want to change the entire Bake infrastructure over to Levain. It's going to be a step-by-step approach. And then we're also going to want to change a lot of the other infrastructure from projects over. And so that's going to be a very key part. So yeah, that's kind of the vision on this. And for us, I think we as a group, our group's mission is to advance blockchain technologies forward, be it the little investor retail, be it the enterprise, the institution, be it a builder or an entrepreneur. And we want to help all of them to control their own digital data. And that also kind of lays it out that this digital data may not only be financial data, may actually also be other data. And that's going to be very relevant for everything that we do, the Cake Group. So that kind of gives a bit of an idea, insight. We are hiring on all four verticals. So we're hiring on the VC side, hiring on the retail side, on the enterprise side, hiring on the R&D side. And actually we're looking for everything. We're looking for marketing, we're looking for engineers, we are looking on the finance side, on legal, on whatever. We're actually growing everywhere right now. Not as aggressive as maybe a year ago, but we always look for fantastic people. I always believe it's important to get fantastic people on the bus. And then when you have these fantastic people on the bus, it's a lot easier actually to figure out what to do with these fantastic people on the bus than sometimes knowing what to do, but you don't have the people. So that's also something that you should really take a look into. Yeah, very exciting time. We're going to be publishing transparency report as every quarter. So this is going to come out. We're going to try to put it out next week. Maybe it's going to come out only the week afterwards. I'm not sure. We actually managed to discuss this next Tuesday. Maybe it's going to happen the Tuesday afterwards, so in 2 weeks. But that shouldn't be so much of a problem. We are having, if you compare this to the large companies, most companies actually do their earnings months later. So obviously, we're not a company with hundreds of thousands of employees. We're a company with close to 200 employees. I think that's key. Adam, data science, I think also, we are also looking for, go to, I think right now the website is bake.io/careers. It's going to move over to cake.group/careers. Just all this stuff still has to get structured properly. So I think bake.io/career. And then apply. You see all the verticals. It's going to move over to cake.group. And yeah, please apply. So very much looking forward. Great. I see the questions. I think I answered all those questions in there. If you have any other questions, then just drop me a tweet, tag me, and then we can discuss this. And yeah, since the Bitcoin prices are not going up right now, Fabio is going to have to come back to work next week. So I think from next Tuesday onwards, there's going to be not a lonesome anymore. It's going to be a wonderful twosome again with a lot of fun. And not just me holding a monologue. Yeah, but well-deserved time off for Fabio. He's when he's working, he's 24/7. So I think it's well-deserved that he also has his time off, just like everyone. Genau. Exactly. With this, everyone, I very much appreciate you being with us. If you're not a customer on Bake, then head over to bake.io, download our fresh new app on Android, or download the older version right now on iOS, but you're going to get updated for free right there. If you can't wait anymore, then get Elite on anyways. I mean, I don't understand why you're not Elite anyways. And then we're going to get going with this. And with that, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, share, leave a positive review on the podcast, and then I'll see you next time. I wish you a beautiful rest of the week. All the best. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.